Before we get into the latest rumors surrounding Russell Westbrook, I want to ask you guys a question. Predict the future for me. Will Russell Westbrook be on the Lakers to start this season? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know what you think down in the comments. You are watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. We're going to touch on the latest Russell Westbrook trade rumors on today's show as they started to heat up over the weekend. Jeannie Buss said some things, but the latest stuff is saying that the San Antonio Spurs are still open to the idea of trading for the former MVP. LJ Ellis of Spurs Talk, he had this to say. He said, At one point in time, the Spurs were in talks with the Los Angeles Lakers to absorb Russell Westbrook's contract. In that scenario, San Antonio was to be compensated with multiple draft picks. Currently, a source close to the Spurs says the two teams are no longer engaged in active talks due to the Lakers preferring offers by both the Pacers and the Jazz. According to a Western Conference scout, the Lakers are telling teams that they will take a wait-and-see approach to trading Westbrook as training camp approaches. If the Lakers decide to trade Westbrook at some point down the line, the Spurs remain one of the few teams in the league open to such a deal. It was reported earlier in the summer that the San Antonio Spurs wanted at least one unprotected first-round pick from the Lakers. And that makes some sense, right? If you're going to be absorbing $47 million in salary cap space, and it will most likely be a situation where Brody is bought out by the San Antonio Spurs, you're going to want an unprotected first-round pick. And the Lakers, they only can trade their 2027 and their 2029 first-round picks, as they've traded pretty much every other pick they have in the safe. At the end of the day, in my opinion, I think the Lakers have to make a move. Because when you look at the way the roster is constructed right now, and you think stylistically how this team is going to play coming up this season, that is not a win-now roster, and there is just not enough talent on this depth chart and this roster for them to compete for the NBA Finals. I know you have LeBron James. I know you have Anthony Davis. But when it's a debate about who's your best third player, and it's between Russell Westbrook, Austin Reeves, Patrick Beverley, and Lonnie Walker, that's a problem. And it's not a good problem to have. You did everything you could to go out and sign LeBron James. And then you traded every asset you had in the farm to go trade for Anthony Davis. Now it's time to invest in your investments. Put good players and serviceable players around LeBron James and Anthony Davis so you can win titles right now. Because the window of opportunity to be a competitive team in the NBA for the Lakers, the window is now, and it's not that long. LeBron is entering year 22. Anthony Davis, he may only be just under 30 years old, but he has a body of a player that looks like he's in his 17th season in the NBA. The time is now for the Lakers to make a move so you can compete in the 2022 NBA season for a title. Because at the end of the day, in Hollywood for the Lakers, it's title or bust. And this roster right now is looking like a bust of a roster. But what about a trade idea between the Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs? And this one we cooked up in the Chat Sports studios, me and producer Jeffrey Cooperstein. We had the Lakers receiving Doug McDermott, Josh Richardson, and Jakob Poeltl. And the Spurs would receive Russell Westbrook and a 2027 first-round pick that would be unprotected. Those were the rumors of that's what the Spurs wanted, but they would be giving up young players. And Jakob Poeltl, a 3-and-D guy in Josh Richardson, and a sharpshooter in Doug McDermott. But there's a lot of reasons I think both sides would be open to this type of trade. I'll give you 5 reasons why the Lakers and the Spurs would do this trade in a second, but I want all the real ones right now to sound off in the comment section. Who were to be deemed the winner of this trade if it went down? If you're rolling with the purple and gold, type LAL in the comment section for the Lakers. Or if you think the Spurs come out winners of this trade, type SAS in the comment section right now. And if a trade involving Russell Westbrook goes down before the NBA season, we for sure will be breaking it down here on Chat Sports NBA Now. So go down right now, hit that big red button. We're going to continue to do videos, multiple videos, every single week on the latest NBA news and NBA rumors. So if you're looking for a one-stop shop on YouTube for all your NBA wants and needs when it comes to content, we're your guys. Go down right now and hit that big red button. Let's first go over the 5 reasons I think this trade makes sense for the Los Angeles Lakers. And the number one being it's addition by subtraction. Getting rid of Russell Westbrook and adding the players that you would add in this deal make you a better basketball team. And it's not just because you get better players, but you get off of Russell Westbrook, who's, let's be honest, past the prime of his career. Is he still a guy that can produce highlights every night? Yeah. Is he a guy that I would want to go see play in person? No doubt about it. But is he a winning basketball player at this point in his career? I don't feel very strongly about saying yes, and I think getting him off of this team automatically is going to make this team better. You also get to add 2 shooters, and Doug McDermott and Josh Richardson. And what's the way? The proven way to build a title contender around LeBron James? It's to get guys that can shoot the rock around him, and these 2 guys would add 2 sharp shooters for the Lakers. I think it would be a great fit with Dougie McBuckets hiding out in the corner, just catching and firing from LeBron James on those half-court assist opportunities. And Josh Richardson, he could shoot it too, a little bit more streaky than McDermott, but when he gets hot, he could definitely throw some threes in from beyond the three-point arc. Also, you get a bump in perimeter defense. Josh Richardson is a feisty defender, and if you were to deploy a lineup of Patrick Beverley, Anthony Davis, as well as Josh Richardson, those are 3 really good defenders. Richardson and Beverley are hound dogs on the perimeter, and that's what you need on this roster. You don't have enough shooting, you don't have enough perimeter defenders, and Josh Richardson, he checks both of those boxes. Also, you get to add somewhat of a versatile big in Jakob Poeltl. He's a guy that has a really nice touch around the rim, someone that can get you 12 points a night to go along with 10 rebounds. He's not your prototypical 90s big. He doesn't shoot threes, but he's not just a guy that hangs out in the dunker spot or the restricted area. I think a pick and roll with him and LeBron James could be somewhat efficient in the half court. He would be, in my opinion, the Lakers starting center if they don't roll with AD at the 5 if this trade were to go down. The biggest reason, though, that I would do this trade and why it makes sense for the Lakers is these players, they just fit stylistically and chemistry-wise with LeBron James. What does LeBron James need? He needs guys that can catch and shoot. He needs guys that can be versatile and can play defense on the perimeter. These guys all check some of those boxes. Look at Dougie McBuckets shooting 42% from downtown last year, averaging 11 points per game, shooting 46% from the field. And then you get a guy like Josh Richardson, who shot 41.5% from 3. The volume isn't nearly as high as a guy like Dougie McBuckets, but you can definitely, 41.5% from 3 is an elite percentage. I don't think if he can consistently do that, but he'll get more wide open looks with the Lakers than he did last year with the San Antonio Spurs. He also shot 44% from the field. And Jakob Poeltl, 14 points per game and 62% from the field. He's a guy that's a high efficiency player, can finish around the rim, left hand and right hand, has a little bit of range, can shoot a little mid-range push shot. I think it'd be a good fit with the Los Angeles Lakers. Also, what I think would be a good fit for you is to get yourself an NBA hoodie, as the season and hoodie season is just around the corner. We've got every single team's hoodies, some on sale. The deal won't last forever. All you got to do is go to chatsports.com/NBA hoodie. That's chatsports.com/NBA hoodie. We've got hoodies for all 30 teams in the association, and most of them are on sale. So I'll put the link, chatsports.com/NBA hoodie, in the comments and description of this video. Click on it, get to shopping, and let's look swaggy and rep our squads for the upcoming season. 5 reasons now why I think this trade makes sense for the San Antonio Spurs. It fuels the tank, and that you don't really ever want to say as an organization you're tanking, but you got to watch what teams do. Don't watch what they say, watch what they do. When you trade DeJounte Murray for 3 unprotected first-round picks and you don't get anybody back player-wise that can help you immediately, and the guy you got back in the deal, Danilo Gallinari, you waived him or bought him out, you're not trying to win now. And getting rid of guys like Josh Richardson, Doug McDermott, and Poeltl, that would fuel the tank, and it would give you an opportunity to play some young guys that we'll talk about in a second. Also, $47 million of expiring deals. You add all those three guys up that you're trading in Poeltl and Richardson and Doug McBuckets, and you get off of their money a year earlier. So the Spurs, they have a lot of draft picks after that Murray trade, and then you get $47 million of salary cap relief and Russell Westbrook. That's a great way to hit a hard reset button on a rebuild. Picks and a lot of cap space, that's the blueprint to getting back to relevant in the NBA. And you get to add future first-round picks or a first-round pick. And that 2027 LA Lakers pick that's unprotected is deemed by a lot of personnel people in the NBA as one of the most valuable trade chips in the NBA. Because when you get to 27, LeBron James and AD, they're probably not going to be wearing the purple and gold that late into their careers. Also, more minutes for your younger players. There's no reason at this point for the Spurs to be giving minutes to veterans like Doug McDermott or Josh Richardson. That's the last thing you want to do in a rebuild, is take away minutes from young guys and give them to players that are already established players and aren't really cemented in your rebuild future plans. And that's not McDermott, and that's not Josh Richardson. And it's a developmental year for the San Antonio Spurs. Once you traded DeJounte Murray, you folded on trying to compete in the Western Conference. It is all about the future for the San Antonio Spurs. If you get to add a first-round pick, you get off of $47 million by the season's end. That is a good deal for the Spurs. You're not trading any blue chips and Poeltl and Richardson and Doug McDermott. Makes a lot of sense for both sides, in my opinion. And the Lakers, they got to get better. And this is what their potential top 10 players on their roster could look like if a trade like this happened. You got Beverly and Schroeder as your two guards, Josh Richardson and Kendrick Nunn, Lonnie Walker, Austin Reeves, Dougie McBuckets, LeBron, James, Anthony Davis, and Jakob Poeltl. I don't know if this team's a team that could compete for the Larry O.B., but it's damn sure better than the team you had yesterday if a trade were to happen when Russell Westbrook was arguably your third best player. I think that team would make the playoffs. I think they could compete in the Western Conference. At the end of the day, it's going to fall on the shoulders of how great can LeBron James and Anthony Davis be this year. That's what's going to determine the fate of the Lakers. But I'll ask you the question before we bounce on out of here. Grade the Lakers roster, the current roster they have right now. Not if this trade happened, but how it stands today. Grade the Lakers roster A, B, C, D, or F. Also, give me a follow over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. I'm trying to get more NBA fans on Twitter to follow, and I'll follow you back. Everybody that follows me from this video, follow for follow. Just send me a DM or mention me saying, yo, Marsh, I came from the NBA Now video on Chat Sports.